Well, hello and welcome. I'm Misheard with Misheard Song Lyrics Podcast. We're in Season 6, Episode 308. The Misheard song lyric is, "So you wanna play with my Jeep?" And then the correct lyrics is, "So you wanna play with magic?" You guessed it, it's a Katy Perry Misheard song lyric. And we're going to dive deep into this most mystifying and polarized pop hit of the last decade with this Katy Perry Dark Horse. It says here, she warned us. She said if you fall in love with her, she'll be your last. Well, now on the surface, Dark Horse is a sleek, seductive pop anthem with a pulsating beat and a hypnotic hook. But peel back the layers and you'll find a story tangled in spellcraft, southern rap, pop, royalty, and a courtroom drama that nearly rewrote the rules of modern music copyright law. Did not know this. It was released in the fall of 2013, so we're talking about 12 years ago, almost this fall. Just as the leaves were changing and the pop music was shifting from Dark Horse, wasn't just another radio banger. It was a calculated risk for her. It's a sonic fusion of trap, hip-hop, electropop, and what critics would later call witch house, a moody, occult-inspired subgenre you won't typically hear on Top 40 radio. So what happened was Katy Perry was fresh off her candy-coated high of teenage dream and was ready to evolve. So she wanted something more darker, more mysterious, something that said, quote unquote, "I'm not just a California girl anymore. I'm the storm you didn't see coming." Love that quote. And who better to help her bring that vision to life than an unlikely duo of hit makers and hip hop royalty. We're talking about Swedish pop wizard Max Martin, edgy underground producer Circuit, notorious pop architect Dr. Luke, and a surprise feature from Memphis rap icon Juicy J. But Dark Horse didn't just cast a spell of the charts, it sparked controversy, divided critics, captivated audiences, and later became the center of a $2.78 million copyright battle that nearly shook the entire industry. So how does a pop star, a southern rapper, and a song about sorcery end up topping the Billboard Hot 100 and landing in federal courtrooms? What exactly was about Dark Horse, a track born into Santa Barbara writing session and inspired by a 1996 cult witch movie, The Craft, that made it one of the biggest songs of 2014. And maybe more importantly, why did it resonate so deeply with listeners around the world? In today's episode, we'll break it down. The unusual birth of Dark Horse, including how a Twitter vote with Pepsi helped decide its fate, the song's bold experimentation with trap beats and mystical pop storytelling, the cultural ripple effects of combining occult themes with chart-friendly hooks, the legal war over a few seconds of music that nearly cost Katy Perry and her team millions, and whether Dark Horse helped trap music infiltrate the pop mainstream or watered it down for mass appeal. Lots of things to go over. Whether you love it or hate it or still find yourself humming "Are You Ready, Are You Ready" under your breath, Dark Horse left its mark. And today we're unpacking why. So, how Katy Perry went from bubblegum princess to the queen of pop sorcery and what it took making that transformation happen. So let's rewind back to the summer 2013. Go back in time. Katy Perry just wrapped her teenage dream, like I said, and she was wanting to be more dark. And she called it a witchy, spelly kind of black magic idea. So she created the song that we're talking about today. But the song was still missing something, a contrasting voice, someone who could bring grit and swagger to the song's seductive danger. Enter in Juicy J, best known as one half of 3-6 Mafia. Wasn't your usual pop feature, but that's exactly what made the collaboration exciting. Katy didn't just want another club-friendly verse, she wanted texture, she wanted edge. And when she heard its verse, it clicked. Juicy J later praised Katy for being deeply involved in the creative process. He wasn't just showing up to rap a pre-written verse. Perry was in the studio with him, giving notes, shaping the mix, even singing parts of the verse herself to guide his tone. The team of producers Max Martin, Circuit, and even more controversial Dr. Luke took that vision and turned it something unlike anything Perry had done before. So, Dark Horse isn't easy to define by genre, and that's part of its power. Critics called it a southern rap techno mashup. That's a great description. Others labeled it electropop with trap undertones or witch house pop, borrowing from an underground genre defined by cult themes and distorted samples and bass-heavy production. Here's what makes it stand out. 1, the beat is slow and hypnotic. The instrumentation, minimal, brooding, seductive. Katy's vocals float above it all, less bubblegum, more sorceress and control. Juicy J opens the song with a prophecy, "She's a beast, I call her karma." His verse lands later in the track, sharp, boastful, but measured, never overpowering Katy's performance. But this genre fusion wasn't even just creative experimentation, it was strategic. 2013 was the beginning of trap's music's invasion of pop music. Artists like Miley Cyrus, Beyonce, and Lorde were all borrowing from that sound. With Dark Horse, Perry planted her flag in this new territory and did it in a way that still felt authentic her. Now, here's what things got very 2013. Before Dark Horse officially dropped, it had to win a battle, literally. Katy Perry had partnered with Pepsi and TV for a Twitter campaign called Katy Now. I remember it briefly. Fans were given 2 song options, Walking on Air or Dark Horse. Whichever got more tweets using a special hashtag would be released early. The fans chose the dark side. On September 17, 2013, Dark Horse dropped as a promotional single. 3 months later, it officially became the 3rd single off Prism, and it took off like wildfire. It climbed the charts, hitting #1 in the US, Canada, and across Europe. It topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 4 weeks and sold over 13.2 million units globally. It wasn't just a hit, it was the 2nd best-selling song in the world in 2014. All right, so here is where it kind of goes in the challenging part. Music video. Just when Dark Horse was lighting up charts around the world, Katy Perry had one more spell to cast, and it came in the form of the music video anything pop fans had seen. She teased it as a major motion picture, and she wasn't exaggerating. The video officially dropped on February 20th, 2014, and instantly caused a stir. Set in a hyper-stylized version of ancient Memphis, Egypt, yes, that's a nod to Juicy J's Memphis, Tennessee roots, Perry plays Katy Patra. I love it. A Cleopatra-inspired sorceress with the power to destroy anyone who dares count her. Suitors arrive with diamonds, candy, even hydraulic chariots. One brings spicy cheese puffs. He gets turned into a glass of water, another into a wallet. And in the climax, a giant golden pyramid, a magical storm, and one unlucky admirer transformed into a dog with a human head. No one escapes. It's bold, it's bizarre, and it's unforgettable. But not everyone was impressed. Critics and fans were split, some praising the mashup of Egyptian imagery and hip-hop absurdity, others calling it cultural appropriation. Zoinks! One scene in particular drew serious backlash was a man wearing a pendant that appeared to read Allah was disintegrated by Perry's magic. Yikes. There was a petition demanding the video's removal gained over 65,000 signatures. Within days, the scene was digitally edited and the pendant erased. Director Matthew Cullen defended the video, saying it wasn't about disrespect, but remixing ancient symbols into something mythological and surreal. Even Egyptologists chimed in, some praising the imagery for sparking curiosity, others calling out the dangers of using sacred symbols without context. Still, controversy couldn't stop the momentum. In June of 2015, Dark Horse became the first music video by a female artist to hit 1 billion views on Viva. I did not know that. And as of when I'm taping this, July of 2025, it's at almost 1 billion views. And that's just 11 years ago when it was actually uploaded back on February 20th. That is amazing. So what do we make of all of this? Well, a video that blended Cleopatra, club culture, trap beats, and magic spells. Dark Horse wasn't just a pop moment. It was a visual spectacle, a cultural flashpoint, and yet another reminder, Katy Perry doesn't just drop music, she drops events. And here we find out about how Dark Horse found itself in court facing accusations of musical theft, and the surprising outcome that rewrote how we think about originality in pop music. Well, then came the lawsuit. In 2014, Christian rapper Flame sued Perry, claiming Dark Horse copied his 2008 track Joyful Noise. A jury initially ruled against Perry, awarding $2.78 million in damages, but in 2020, that decision was overturned, if you can believe that. Why? The courts ruled you can't copyright a basic 8-note pattern. And while the legal storm has passed, Dark Horse still stands as one of pop's most unforgettable and controversial hits. So what do you get when you mix trap beats, ancient mythology, witchy warnings, and a side of courtroom? Well, you get Dark Horse, a song that redefined risk-taking in mainstream pop. It's not about magic. The real story, the real lyric is magic, not my Jeep. So not about the car. There you go. Thanks for tuning in to Misheard Song Lyrics. That's all for today's breakdown. If you like this episode, hit the subscribe button, leave a review, and tell us what underrated track you want us to cover next. Till next time, stay in love, stay tuned, stay listening, and keep singing those songs wrong. Bye.